It's October, so it's time to go Halloween, baby! And it's all month this week. It's Halloween Who Would Wins, mostly. Uh, eh, Technically speaking, the one I got for Wednesday is Halloween theme. It's continuing off of my monthly Bleach fights I was doing. So we're going to the Stern Ritters now. For those of you who don't know, real quick, the Stern Ritters were antagonists in the final arc of the Bleach manga series. They are Quincy humans that can destroy spirits, and there's 26, technically 27, 28, if you want to get technical, but 26, each corresponding to a letter, and each letter has a corresponding ability. We're going to save A, which is the leader's for last, and we're starting with Z, which is the zombie. So, zombie Halloween makes sense. I haven't figured out an opponent for that character yet. If you know who I'm talking about for Stern Ritter Z, whose name honestly I'm blank, I'll look it up later. Then please give me a suggestion before Wednesday, and I can possibly do it out, write it out. But I know we're not talking about that. We're talking about the Dream Demon himself, Freddy Krueger, going up against the dancing clown Pennywise. Now, I actually have been given, if I'm not mistaken, I actually got the suggestion twice over. One, I believe, from Gugu Eye Chihuahua, and one from Anthony Dahl. Anthony Dahl, however, also asked if I could use, in the thumbnail, the new incarnations of Freddy Krueger and Pennywise. So the one from 2010 film, Freddy Krueger, played by Jackie Earle Haley, and the one played by Stellan Skarsgård. Is it Stellan Skarsgård? No, that's Stellan Skarsgård. Peter Skarsgård. In the newest incarnation, in this week's, months, years version of it. So those are the guys in the thumbnail. So now this is a really interesting one because both are child killers. One's a child eater, and the other is a child molester and killer. But they both are killers of children. But one is technically metaphysical. He's not usually in the real world. He needs to be brought out of the dream world to be in the real world, usually speaking. So it's gonna be a weird scenario on them. But let's get down to this. So Pennywise, I've done Pennywise in one fight before, but it bears repeating his abilities, obviously. Pennywise, the dancing clown, is not actually the true form of Pennywise. Pennywise is, in the Stephen King lore, is kind of an elder being of sorts. Not true, not like Cthulhu necessarily, but there is our world. Here's the Earth. There is the universe that we live in, and then there's a universe beyond that. He's from, I believe, not the Macroverse, but something along those. It's something called along those lines, and that is where it is from. Now, it, I believe, does have an actual name. I don't remember it off the top of my head if it does have it. But his true form is kind of like a being of, it's kind of like energy and light. The closest anyone's ever seen his true form is like this hairy orange creature with claws and teeth. But generally, he takes the form of, honestly, whatever scares us the most. Pennywise the clown is his preferred form. A lot of people are scared of clowns, and he just, I think, enjoys the form in general. He gets a lot of fun scaring people out of that and then killing and eating them. But he can literally change into anything. He changes into a leper in the book and the movie. Werewolves, he turns into the Universal Monsters in the miniseries and in the book. He turns into a creepy painting lady. He's able to psychically read what our fears are and transform into said fears. He's able to he can manifest illusions that only the people he wants to see can see them. Who wants to see them can see them. He's capable of any sort of shape-shifting that he wants to do as well, like, turning into those giant, like, bug claws that he was attacking the Losers Club with in the movie. He's obviously stronger than his physicality would allow him to look, but theoretically speaking, he's not super strong. He's just stronger than how he maybe appears, because technically he has no set form. Like, the best we could perceive his real form was a giant spider in the miniseries, I believe, and in the book it's the same way, or something akin to that. Obviously, one of his big things is the deadlights. The deadlights, you'll float too. Basically, see, here's the thing about the deadlights. In the movie, it's not portrayed in the movie the same way it's portrayed in the book. In the movie, it kind of just causes you to go into kind of like this, oh god, not brain dead. comatose state where you were floating around, and Bev could say she saw visions and stuff. But in the book, staring at the deadlights too long either drives you insane or it will just kill you. So it kills any living thing pretty much, or just drives them insane. One or the other. There is no middleman on that. But it is not involved, and it feeds off the fear. He's stronger the more scared you are, and that's why he feeds off he feeds actually on people. He actually eats flesh, but fear as he I think everyone's referred to it in the book is called like salting the meat, and basically fear makes us taste better to him. And so he chooses children because children are easier to scare than adults are. But it is not invulnerable. He's not invincible. But I'm probably missing a couple abilities right off the top of my head too. It's been a while since I know more than enough about him to really do a proper video. But he's not invincible. Like right off the bat, you can hurt him just generally speaking. But he'll usually just shrug it off, like regrow, like regen, things along those lines. But if you don't fear it, especially if you're a collective of people like the Losers Club was, and you lose your fear of it, he loses pretty much all of his power and can be pretty much destroyed, at least temporarily speaking. He was never, in other Stephen King books, it's pretty much implied he was never truly killed. He was defeated. He can be defeated. He can be hurt. Everything like that. But it's next to impossible, at least in the confines of a human sense, to kill him permanently, because he is still, no matter how you beat him, no matter how you like hurt him, he is still a being beyond our understanding, beyond our conceptions, beyond our mental capabilities of reasoning. So even if we can beat him and hurt him, it's not the same thing. So yeah, it's all a matter. It's a mind game with it, really, because then as you see in the movie, once it starts losing its power over the Loser Club, and the Loser Club start dominating it with their lack of fear and their will, you can actually start beating the shit out of the thing, and it's just like, wah! Spoilers by the way. When 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I say that because the movie's still in theory. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It's a great movie. It was great. I thought it was fantastic. When he's got Billy there, and it's like, and then Richie comes in, it's like, you know what, this is your fault, man. I just want to have a normal summer vacation now. And he just takes a bat out of his pile of garbage. Gonna have to kill a fucking clown. Welcome to the Losers Club, asshole. Just start beating the shit out of him with a base. Oh man, that was great. I really have to see that. Mark wants to see that movie too. We need to see that movie together. And the powers that be want to see that movie too. So yeah, need to see that movie. That was a really good movie. So yeah, you can overpower it. You can damage it, and you can temporarily defeat it. But it's one of those cycle things that you're gonna have to do it again and again and again. Pretty much, we as people don't have an actual way to defeat Pennywise permanently. Now, moving on to Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger, or Frederick Krueger, depending if I think that might have been his real name, like full name. Was just a human. He was a pedophile and a child murderer, but he was just a human. Then he died and made a deal with dream demons, and he pretty much became not the boogeyman, because that's Michael Myers' MO, but the Sandman. He will kill you in your dreams. He will induce fear, and the more you're afraid, the more power he has. The more damage he can do to you. If he hurts you in your dreams, he hurts you in real life. He kills you in your dream, he kills you in real life. And really, the question is, what are his abilities? The answer is yes. Pretty much, he has no limitations in the dream world, so long as there is at least any level of fear going around to power him. And the beauty of it is that he could spread the fear simply by, if someone by initially just invading a couple kids' dreams, like, now they're going to talk about this dream they had of me. Yes, and I'll spread that to the people that talk. He's like, in Freddy vs. Jason, he even just says, it's like, that's Freddy vs. Jason. One of the guys they locked up for having dreams about Freddy, dealing with Freddy, says like, the parents didn't want Freddy to spread, so they locked up every kid who ever had contact with him. So he would be contained, and therefore he couldn't spread to other kids. And that's pretty much it. That's how he spreads like the plague. It's not like maybe you'll get sick from your dreams. Words are words. The minute you hear his name, he's pretty much got you. So yeah, again, think literally of anything you can that power he could have. He has in the dream world. He turned a girl into a cockroach at one point, and squished her. He obviously gutted the girl in her sleep on the bed. He hung a kid with his own noose. Now here's an interesting thing about that is that so to some degree what he does in the real world in the dream world affects the real world as well. Like when the kid hung himself in the cell block, I believe that what did affect that, like that noose was actually going around his neck in the cell block as well. So he does have some clout in the real world. But that's once you get him, if you pull him into the real world, he loses all of his abilities basically. And at that point, he is pretty much. I mean, he's still technically not. He's both technically and not technically human. He's a demon at this point now, actually. So I mean, he's technically human, but not. But he is a dead guy, theoretically speaking. So he could, but he's still got his blade gloves, and he's still malice and horrifying, and he still scares the piss out of a lot of people. So he'll still kill people with no problem whatsoever. Another example of him affecting the real world is in Nightmare on Elm Street 2, where he possessed, I can't remember the kid's name, the actual character's name. He basically would possess the body of the kid, and he was able to get into the real world that way. And he could affect the real world, like he lit the pool on fire, I think, at one point. So he can affect the real world. It all depends on how he's in the real world, how he affects the real world. If he's actually brought physically into the real world legitimately, he can't really do anything besides, be a slasher. But he's not invincible either. He's been defeated multiple times. In fact, once you bring him into the real world, you can legitimately kill him. You can't really kill him in the dream world, but you can weaken his power. By not having as much fear, you can weaken his power over you and his power in general. But that said, right as we're getting to the climax of this entire thing, who's going to win, I will say that is an advantage he actually has over Pennywise. That Pennywise needs for you to fear him in order to have really any power. Again, he could theoretically turn into his real form, or closest to real form, and still there be kind of some effect. But overall, he needs to feed off the fear. Otherwise, he is powerless. Freddy's not that helpless. He definitely weakens when you're not afraid of him, but he can still hold his own in an actual fight if he has to, because he actually has weaponry, and he just gets stronger from fear. He's not wholly dependent on it. So, without going any further, I'm going to give you two scenarios for this fight, actually. Because there's two different ways this fight plays out. Well, I mean, there's two different opening scenarios. Okay, let's go with the one where they're in the real world. Let's say it's technically Nightmare on Elm Street in Derry, Maine. So the kids are running from Freddy, and Pennywise has maybe been manipulating the situation behind the curtains, and Freddy shows up. And now, kids there to see Pennywise, it's like, why, thank you, Mr. Krueger. Now, if you will, I'm going to eat. It's like, no, it's like, just back off, bozo. The kids are mine. And it's like, oh, I don't think so. They're mine. I will feast upon their flesh. I will eat their flesh and feast upon their. No, they're mine, mine. As he yelled in the Freddy vs. Jason, and their fight will go down. Now, the Losers Club at this point probably aren't really afraid of Pennywise, or maybe they're still kind of afraid because, he's weakening and all that. But he's weakening. Let's put it this way. He's weakening. So him and Freddy are going to go at it. And right off the bat, Freddy's not afraid of the clown. So Pennywise can't feed off the fear of Freddy Krueger. Likewise, though, Freddy Krueger doesn't really have any special abilities in this world. He's just, a guy with the gloves. So it's like, and then maybe he transforms. Krueger's getting out of the way. He slashes. I'm like, that hurts you a little bit. It's like, oh, get used to it, clown. Get used to it, red nose. It's like, chink, got baby's like, got your nose, and you just slices his nose up like again, Freddy versus Jason. And then maybe he grows his nose like, yeah. So he's getting pissed and he's getting upset. He's like, why won't you go down? He's like, come on, man. I was like, I've been dead for years. You think that will do anything against me? And, it's gonna go back and forth. I think though it's gonna be also like in the Freddy versus Jason movie where he's gonna maybe take one of Krueger's arms off, and maybe Krueger is like, she stabs and Pennywise there. Pennywise would have more durability than Freddy Krueger initially, but the point is that Freddy's still not afraid. He'd just be like, oh, you son of a... And then the clown can't really feed off... Pennywise can't feed off the figure of the Losers Club. They're probably hightailed it at this point. Or getting ready to light the fucking place on fire. Who knows? And as there's less fear going on, Pennywise is going to weaken. Pennywise... It's clear that Freddy has the edge in the long-term fight in the real world because he doesn't need to depend on fear in the real world. He can just, stab. But he's still getting hit. And, maybe it's the last this year for Pennywise. He tries to use the dead lights on Freddy. And so Freddy's just looking at it, like, what's with the light show? It's like, what? It's like you should be. It's like, what? You thought that would work on me? It's like, come on, I've been dead for years. And if you saw my Beetlejuice versus Pennywise video, spoiler a little bit for that, dead lights wouldn't work on Beetlejuice. Remember, they work on anything living. Beetlejuice is dead. Freddy, for all intent and purposes, even though he's been brought into the real world, is still a dead man. He's still technically the undead at this point. He's actually not even human at this point. He's technically a dream demon. But the thing is, if we're going by a real world fight, Freddy is probably gonna fade quicker because while Pennywise's power will fade quicker, and I know it's weird to say, as an overall life force, Freddy's gonna fade quicker because he's only got so much durability. He's only got a human body still. So Pennywise, I think, would eventually take out Freddy if it were in the real world. But again, on a percentage scale, we're going about 65-35. I think there's a scenario where Freddy just is able to eventually keep dodging, avoiding, slashing, and just wear Pennywise down. But I think Pennywise being able to shapeshift all that, I think that outlasts Freddy to enough degree. Now, the other scenario is this. Remember, Pennywise shows up once a year or something like that. Not once a year. Well, yeah, kind of once a year for a certain amount of time. And then goes to sleep for 27 years. Hey, he's asleep. Clown, I'm certain even macrocosm gluttony demons dream too. So, let's just say, for sake's sake, for this to make sense, some kid mentioned he was having nightmares about a guy who said his name was Freddy Krueger, and Pennywise overheard that, so he ate the kid anyway. It's like, ah! I was like, time for bed, and all of a sudden he's in the sewer. It's like, what? What is this place? It's like, oh, welcome to my nightmare. It's like, who are you? It's like, what is it? You think you can stop me? I'm Pennywise. And Ziegler maybe he tries to attack Freddy. And that ain't working because it's like, no, not my arms. Boop. It's like what are you? It's like, yeah, for the love of God. It's like, this is God. I'm going back from, let's say, because he kind of sounded like that after a while. His voice got deeper. But in the original Nightmare on Elm Street, if you remember, his voice is actually a bit more like this and kind of like this. It's like, this is God. So Pennywise, for the first time, probably and this is, let's say this before Losers Club, for the first time in probably his entire existence, is like, he's feeling fear for the first thing. I was like, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, bitch. And then maybe turns into a giant monster. So maybe even turns into his real form because Freddy's dead for all, and he's a demon, so he's going to perceive things beyond normal people at this point. So as they turns to wow, I was like, that's some wacky haircut. Maybe you need a trim. Just keep slicing him. But because he's kind of a nigh-immortal being. Actually, no, here's the thing. He'd probably be durable enough to survive a couple attempts at being killed. But the fact is that he'd be getting more and more like, why won't he die? It's like, oh, because. It's like, what? It's like, oh, I'm everywhere, man. It's like, maybe I'm over here, maybe I'm here. It's maybe appears that maybe I'm right behind you. So, He would probably scare, because he can also do what Pennywise does. He can basically bring out your worst fears realized, especially when he's in the dream world, particularly in that world. So with that, Pennywise can only survive for so long before he realizes he's got no power over this dude. And as we learned in the Stephen King series, there were two beings, one for like good, wisdom, hope, and the turtle, Maturin or something, I think that was his name, and the other one. Maturin died. The turtle died in the spoilers, by the way, in the book. The turtle dead, which goes to assume that Pennywise can die too. Now, the reason the turtle dies is because he actually choked on a universe. So it takes something of, greater abilities than we as humans have to kill these individuals. But that's something Freddy has, especially in the dream world, in spades. Now, is there any feasible way Pennywise could beat Freddy Krueger? I mean, Freddy's got power in that dream world regardless if you're actually afraid of him or not. So, and initially, the clown probably would not be afraid of him. But as the fight progresses, he would quickly be like, why can't it? What is with it? I can't kill. Ah! So, and that would just feed Krueger more and weaken Pennywise more. Because Freddy's not afraid of him either. So, he doesn't have much power to begin. I mean, he might have initial powers and stuff like that because he's in his own consciousness. But it ends up, I think Freddy wins 100% of the time in the dream world. But that's just my opinion, obviously. But just because of the nature of their abilities to use fear and how they feed off fear and all that, because of the nature of that, the Clown's screwed if he actually has to go up against Freddy in the dream world. In the real world, Pennywise has the edge just because he's able to regenerate a bit easier in the real world, and Freddy's just more or less has a human body at that point. So yeah, 65 to 35 in favor of Pennywise if it takes place in the real world. 100% of the time to Freddy if it takes place in Pennywise's dreams. But let me know if you think different. If you do, that's cool. Put it in the comments below. Let me know. I'll do it. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, a movie, TV, anything, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Ideas for who would win. Star Wars, superhero, magic, anything I do. What ifs, Dragon Ball. Put that in the comments below as well. I'll get to it at some point. As I said at the beginning of the video, I'm doing the Stern Ritter. So basically, if you're one of the people who really likes my Bleach Who Would Wins monthly, I should also let you know those are going to be more than just monthly because there's, unlike with the captains, which there were 13 of. No, actually no, though I didn't do all 13. I think I did. I didn't do Aizen or Shinji. I didn't do Uehana. So I did 11 of them, and that took me just under a year because I had to go by month. So I'm going to be cramming out more like 2 to 3, maybe even 4 a month just to speed up the process of going through them all. But yeah, Stern Ritter Z, whose ability is the zombie. Now, I'm not going to, you can look it up. I'm not going to go into detail. I'll go into the detail in the video what that ability actually entails. But the zombie, I would encourage you to look it up if you're interested in finding out an opponent for that. I would greatly appreciate that because other opponents, other characters in the Stern Ritter's arsenal, or Stern Ritter lineup, they're easier to find opponents for. The zombie, not that easy. But anyway, let me know what you think on that one. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I got nothing planned for tomorrow, honestly. Got the Who Would Win Wednesday. I've got What If, M Magic, and Blade Runner on Thursday, plus the usual minus Rick and Morty because the seasons are wrapped up. Oh, man. Excuse me. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you folks next